This story is brought to you by Petals and Pride, where every petal tells a tale, and every tale celebrates pride. Join us as we embark on heartfelt journeys, discovering the beauty of love, life, and extraordinary in the everyday. Together, we bloom with stories that inspire, uplift, and bring the rainbow of human experiences to life.
Title: The Ticket to My Heart. Officer Frank had just finished his shift, cruising through the quiet streets, feeling the weight of his badge in his pocket. The life of a fresh recruit was still new to him, and although he was slowly finding his footing, there was still so much he was figuring out. One of the things he wasn't quite sure about was the way his body reacted to certain situations, especially those that involved men. It all began in the academy. Frank had spent months in a world of rigor, discipline, and teamwork. The training was grueling, designed to break you down and build you up again. But in the midst of all that, there was something else brewing, something Frank hadn't expected. He had always been taught to suppress any feelings that didn't align with the ideal man he was supposed to be. But the academy had a way of testing those boundaries. Late-night drills, hours spent together, and the physical exhaustion of it all created an atmosphere of closeness. And in the midst of that, Frank had found himself drawn to one of the other cadets, a guy named James. James was charismatic, confident, and, like Frank, had always kept his personal life under wraps. There was an unspoken connection between them, an electric pull neither of them fully understood. One night, after an exhausting physical training session, they found themselves alone in the locker room. The silence hung heavy between them, the tension thick and palpable. James had always teased Frank, always flirted in small ways, but tonight, there was something different in the air. James stepped closer, his hand brushing Frank's as they both reached for the same towel. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, neither of them could deny the chemistry. "Can I talk to you for a second?" James whispered, his voice hushed but steady. Frank's heart raced, unsure of what would happen next, but his body already knew. He nodded, his mouth dry, barely able to get the words out. "Yeah." James moved in closer, his breath warm against Frank's ear. "I know we've both been pretending, but we don't have to anymore. We're not here to hide who we are, Frank." Frank's mind swirled, but before he could process the words, James kissed him, softly at first, as if testing the waters. Frank felt an immediate spark, the heat of the kiss igniting something he had buried deep inside. He had always been taught that this kind of thing was wrong, that men like him were supposed to suppress these feelings. But James's touch made him feel alive in a way he never had before. The kiss deepened, their bodies pressed together, and Frank felt his own restraint slipping. His hands found James's waist, pulling him closer, feeling the hard line of his body against his own. The closeness was intoxicating, the heat between them unbearable. They broke the kiss for a moment, their breaths heavy, and James's eyes were dark with desire. "This is what you've been wanting, isn't it, Frank?" he asked, his voice low, teasing. Frank didn't answer. Instead, he pulled James into a kiss, his body betraying the years of denial he had endured. In that moment, they were both discovering something new, not just about each other, but about themselves. James dropped to his knees, unzipping Frank's pants. Frank was a little too eager, and it was over quickly. But James didn't ask for anything in return. He simply wiped his mouth, flashed a satisfied smile, and walked back to his room. The academy, despite its strict rules and regulations, had given them a space where, for just a fleeting moment, they could be real. The next day, after the locker room incident, everything felt different. They continued their training, but there was an undeniable shift in their dynamic. There were moments where their eyes met across the room, moments where Frank caught himself smiling for no reason, thinking about the intimacy they shared. But they knew the boundaries. There was an unspoken agreement that they would keep things quiet, especially considering the strict environment they were in. The academy was tough on everyone, but it was even tougher on those who didn't fit the mold. And Frank wasn't sure if he was ready to confront what this meant for him, what James meant to him. In time, James graduated and moved away. Frank missed him and was sad to see him go, but James didn't leave any contact details and didn't even tell Frank where he was going. Now that Frank was out of the academy and on the job, he found himself thinking more and more about the quiet tension he'd felt toward men during his training. He smiled when he thought of James. His world was still full of rules, expectations, and protocols. But as he patrolled the streets of his small town, something was different. Something was pulling at him, and he wasn't quite sure how to respond. He was lonely. He hadn't been with anyone since James. He knew it was time to move on, but he wasn't sure how.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the latest episode of Petals and Pride. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update from us. Also, be sure to join our Facebook group Petals and Pride. We love hearing from you. Let us know your thoughts and what you'd like to see next. Until next time, take care and stay proud.